Hello, BirthFit. I'm Dr. Lindsay Matthews, your BirthFit founder and CEO. And I want to take a moment to go over our BirthFit timeline. And if you've been a part of any of our programs or attended our seminars, then you've probably been exposed to this timeline or pieces of this timeline. But I think it's so worth repeating. And I would love for you to share this with all the women, the mothers, sisters, friends in your life, because this has taken me and my team in the BirthFit community since BirthFit's inception until this past year, basically to refine, and we keep refining it. And I really, really like where it's at now. I think it's very encompassing of the whole motherhood transition, which is what we focus on. So let me share screen with you. All right, here we go. And please forgive me. My allergies are acting up a bit, and that's just the time and the season in the Texas Hill Country here. But yeah, just look past that. All right, so this is our motherhood transition timeline. It has pregnancy and the first year postpartum. Now, there is a lot of intention and thought and experience and education that has gone into this timeline. For example, like, I know I don't toot our own horn a lot here at BirthFit, but there are a number of experts, and we also don't use the phrase expert a lot because we like to be students of life forever. But anyways, I'm going to use it right now, and there are a number of experts on our team that contribute to BirthFit and our programs, and it's not just me. But to give you a little background of myself, I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I am a strength and conditioning coach. I am a birth doula. I am an NLP practitioner and a yoga instructor. And that's like, the top few things I put on a resume. But I've been trained in CrossFit. I've been trained in things like strongman and conjugate training, conjugate aka West Side Barbell. I've been trained in FRC, functional range conditioning. I've been trained in DNS, dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. I've been trained in sacred pregnancy, innate postpartum. I've been trained in mama doula. The list could go on. And I've yoga tune-up. I've kind of stopped keeping track. I know that that's silly, but yeah, that's me. And that's just me. And so I want to share that with you because there are a number of other experts, doctors, midwives, therapists, healers on our team that contribute to our programs and to the wealth of knowledge that is BirthFit. We have a number of pelvic floor physical therapists that have contributed. We have some wonderful, and I hate, like, progressive or holistic OB-GYNs that are making this world a better place, that contribute to BirthFit. And we have some amazing doulas, some amazing birth doulas, postpartum doulas, and the list goes on. Acupuncturists, chiropractors. Um, yeah, so I just want you to know you are in good hands when you are with BirthFit. And we have some of the best coaches that have, learned and been schooled from some of the best coaches previously. And they themselves have been some of the best athletes. You're just really well taken care of, whether you do an in-person class or you do an online program with us, or you're taking the BirthFit education, or you show up and do a seminar with us. So that's me tooting our own horn, but let's get into this. This is the BirthFit timeline. And I want, like, our focus is the motherhood transition. And we focus on the motherhood transition specifically because this has the greatest impact on the new human coming earthside. And the better we take care of mother, the more the mother thrives, the more this little human will thrive. And that is my firm belief. So let's start with this timeline. Conception happens right about here. And let's just make note that we did not put preconception on here because the preconception journey for everyone looks different. This is a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual journey. I feel like that everyone needs to dive deep into and do some clearing and unpacking in order for their soul and their physical body to be open and receive, like to be open to receive this special spirit. Because you, the mother, are the vessel. You are carrying this special spirit, and they're coming through you to come earthside. God, let that sit in. So yeah, the preconception journey for everyone can be a little different. If you are thinking about conceiving, I really strongly recommend that you, excuse me, start getting things in order at least a year in advance, if not 3 months in advance. I really recommend getting off birth control, tracking your cycle, doing some extensive blood work, investigating your births and your partner's births, investigating your thoughts and beliefs around the birth experience, how you want to parent, your views around health and wellness and vaccinations, that falls in there. Your views and beliefs around discipline. I mean, the list could go on, and these are tough conversations to have, especially in the moment. So I really recommend having them as far in advance as you can. All right, so conception has happened. Boom. Whew. Here we are in the first trimester. We believe the first trimester is for cultivating values and intentions. And sure, like we talked about, you probably discussed some of this with your partner previously, or you journaled about it, but it's really here. It's happening now. And so what I would do is take some time, both you and your partner or separately, together. Be sure to discuss if you do it separately, but get really clear on your values in this world, how you want to show up in this world, how you want your family to show up, and what your intentions are for this pregnancy, for the birth experience, and then for the first year postpartum. I think that's really important. And then discuss these with your partner. So, the first trimester is one of next level fatigue. So, this is a really good time to give yourself permission to take that nap instead of forcing yourself to work out. This is a really good time to say no to things. It's okay to say no to things, by God. Like, put the things that matter on your calendar, the things that you want to do, and then forget it. Like, let all the rest fall away. Rest is so important. You're literally building a human and an extra organ. So rest, it's so important. Cultivate values and intentions. Now, this is a really good time to visit practitioners, providers, whatever you want to call them, and to start gathering information about some of the options in your area if you have not done so already. So, for example, if you and your partner, husband, boyfriend, partner, whatever you want to call them, if y'all are kind of in a disagreement or not the same page on where you want to give birth, then this is the time to explore those options. Go have a consultation with 2 or 3 midwives. Go and have a consultation with 2 or 3 OB-GYNs. Take your values and your intentions and then show up and ask these people questions. Remember, you are getting a service. You are paying for a service. This is not the time to use the same OB-GYN that you had in high school when you first got your period. A lot has changed. And yes, I've still heard of people doing that. So get clear on your values and intentions and use those to pick your healthcare provider. Your healthcare provider is going to influence basically this whole timeline in a very, very significant way, whether you realize it or not. So yeah, get clear on that. And then if you find yourself kind of in disagreement with each other, maybe one wants to have a home birth, one doesn't know and maybe is like unsure, talk to people you trust. Maybe you have a couple in your friends group and they've had a home birth. Go talk to them. Be like, open your hearts, open your ears, and go listen to what they have to say. And then I would just advise you to pray and meditate on it. Let baby tell you where they want to come earthside or how they want to enter this world. And make a decision and go for it. Trust in your decision. Trust in your decision. Have faith in your decision. And know that, you're doing the best you can with what you got. And it's going to be a beautiful experience, an unknown beautiful experience. So that's the first trimester. As far as training goes, it's kind of how whatever you feel. And I say that because one of the biggest things is to be out of breath like that. So you might find yourself one day working out at the gym, and all of a sudden, the same workout, which did not feel this way before, now feels like it's quite humbling. So what I would say, and what we recommend in our seminars and in our programs, we add a little bit of extra rest. Maybe it's 5 rounds of something. Put rest in between the movements, put rest in between the rounds. Give yourself permission to slow down. Another thing we like to do is make sure we're breathing in and out through our nose. That way we know we're not pushing ourselves too much or too hard. So it's a really good way just to dial it back and you're still getting tons of benefits. This is also a really nice time to do movement flows or continuous work sessions. Let's put a clock on for 20 minutes, pick 3 movements, and just kind of flow through those movements. If you're at a gym and you don't want to miss out on your community, this is a really great opportunity to start to have a conversation with the coach you trust. So you may not want the entire gym class to know yet, or you may not want anybody to know, but have a conversation with your coach. Like many of us at BirthFit as coaches in our communities, we've embraced this conversation many of times. So when somebody would come to me and say, I'm pregnant, I'm 6 weeks pregnant, I'm 5 weeks, I'm 8 weeks, we would modify in a way that would not kind of put them on the spot. So maybe we would say, "Oh, you got that shoulder thing today. We'll do this." Or you got that knee thing today. We kind of just work something like that in and around the situation. Or, maybe some people are incredibly open, excuse me, and, they're 6, 7, 8 weeks pregnant and they're just like, it is what it is. I'm ready to share with the world. Write a separate workout for them on the board. Put their rest inside the workout. Yeah, but be a coach or an instructor that is open and willing to adapt with your client. This is also a wonderful time to start embracing strictly strength stuff, because we're going to do that throughout pregnancy and then throughout the first bit postpartum. So yeah, fatigue is a big one in the first trimester. Give yourself permission to nap instead of push yourself in a workout. Our general recommendation throughout is to do anywhere from 2 to 4 training days meaning general strength and conditioning, 2 to 4 training days a week. So in this first trimester, that may look a lot more like 2 training days a week, and then walking the other days and doing just BirthFit basics the other days. And that's totally fine. All right, so I'm giving you an overview, and so I'm kind of flying through this. And if you're loving this, I hope to see you in the BirthFit education online, and then maybe at the BirthFit coach seminar. All right, so as we pass the first trimester mark, belly usually starts growing, and you usually get a burst of energy, and you start to feel pretty dang good. This is a wonderful time. We call it practice time or tuning in. So we labeled this practice tuning in. This is like you are literally practicing and training for birth. We are not modifying our previous trainings, whether we were a soccer player, a volleyball player, a competitive CrossFit athlete. No, those goals are different and separate. This is in-season training for birth. We are practicing mind, body, and soul for this huge transformational event. And frankly, we don't have a lot of time. Think about it. People train years and years and years to go to the Olympics. And we have 35 weeks or less to train to bring a human into this world. That's wild. So every practice session, every training session, everything is so intentional. And whether it be 5-10 minutes of breathing, we're tuning into baby, we're connecting with our breath, and we are focusing on the present moment. When we're training, when we're moving, we are being present with our body. We are seeing how our body feels in this moment. And this is might be quite different from before, because now we are really starting to embrace that feminine energy inside of training. And probably a little bit of feminine energy in the first trimester, but it ramps up. And this is really hard for some people because training, fitness in particular, is dominated by masculine energy. And I love masculine energy. Like, we need it. We need the order and the structure, like in business and to get things done in life. But pregnancy calls us into this ultimate feminine energy, this surge of feminine energy. And we've seen it really show up inside of training. And this is where we let go of numbers, we let go of percentages, we let go of kind of the structure around things. And I know I mentioned continuous workflow. You'll see that more and more in our prenatal training online. This is a time where we go by feel, we go by sensation. The only kind of numbers we really dabble with are when we say we're recommending like certain intensity levels using our Whoop. And this year, 2020, BirthFit started a partnership with Whoop. And this is a really great recovery tool and gives you insight into like how your recovery is for a certain day, how your sleep has been, what your HRV is. And it recommends intensity levels or workout levels for the day. And it's based on Borges' rate of perceived exertion scale, which we've previously used since BirthFit's been in existence. And we would say, do something that like pick a load, do this, like make it feel like, okay, this is a 7 out of 10 intensity. So now you kind of like, you can actually connect it with your phone and you can do it live, or you can just look at it, in hindsight. But that's really the only numbers we use. We go by feel and sensation because we want you inside your body. We want you owning that embodiment and feeling and trusting in your body. Because guess what? You and baby are the only ones guaranteed tickets to birth. That's right. No matter what happens, it's you and baby. And so I need you to practice trusting you. And we cultivate trust in these physical settings, in these yoga studios, or wherever you practice your training. But it starts with little acts of trust that build up great trust over time. And so that is what the second trimester is. Don't let the second trimester pass you by and then be like, oh shit, it's 27 weeks. Practice. This is also a time where, let's say if you were sports specific, we've worked with a number of professional athletes, but once belly grows and starts altering movement patterns, we're not going to jeopardize any sort of musculoskeletal injury or create bad habits, because bad habits get put in our primal brain and they're really hard to break. So barbells, like let's say Olympic lifting, let's say you're a competitive CrossFitter, it's just not worth it. And you can actually gain a lot more fitness with dumbbells and kettlebells, shoulder stability, upper back strength, all kinds of good stuff. And then return to a barbell, 3 months postpartum, and you're like, whoa, I feel actually pretty good. That's usually what people say. They're like, I feel better than I thought. So once belly gets in the way, we ditch the barbell. Also, if we are not practicing proper pose running, and running starts to look a bit more like heel striking or significant hinging at the hips or any sort of other funky things that happen with running, we're going to take running out of the equation. And we may substitute or change or throw some things in the training days that look like pose running drills, or we may do some sled drags or assault bike, but same sort of deal. Another thing would be rowing. Rowing is probably one of the harder things to see, kind of crappy movement patterns, but you can really see, in the lean back, if there's kind of a ridge forming down the middle of the belly. That's that coning. That's kind of it shows you that the abs are starting to separate or they're compromised. It doesn't necessarily mean that your diastasis is there and it's a problem and blah, but it's just revealing that the core is being taxed a lot. So might not be in your best interest. Also, like the frog legs. Might not want to do rowing when you get to that point of frog legs. So keep that in mind. Once movement patterns start to alter because of belly, not a good idea to continue with bad habits. Second trimester is a time of practicing for tuning in. Speaking of practice, this is a wonderful time to do any birth education stuff. Get on it, do it. Make a birth preference sheet. Do the BirthFit prenatal small group. Like, we talk about a lot of stuff, a lot of birth preferences. We don't say birth plan because birth is the great unknown and there's many forks in the road. But we do talk about intentions and mission statements and what you can carry with you inside every fork in the road. All right, so as we transition into the third trimester, starts around week 27. Excuse me. And I have not mentioned this, and I should have. Being a chiropractor, I strongly recommend a minimum of one chiropractic adjustment a week throughout pregnancy. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. One chiropractic adjustment minimum a week. Now, if you get up here, and that's with a nervous system based chiropractor. If you're in Austin, come see us at Truly Chiropractic. But if you get here around weeks 27, 28, and your baby is not head down, or you don't know what position your baby is in, check the Spinning Babies website and also get to the chiropractor more frequently. Sometimes around weeks 26, 27, 28, all the way up to 32, you and your baby are going to get in position for birth. And ideally, here we go. Here's a spine. This is your pelvis. We want baby head down with their spine out front or against your belly button. And that is like the most ideal position. And they do this as early as, the beginning of the third trimester. Please do not wait and say, oh, we'll check it at 34 weeks. Baby gets bigger and bigger and bigger and runs out of room. And it's so heartbreaking for me as a chiropractor whenever I get somebody that I see for the first time at 34 weeks and they come in and they're like, my OB or my midwife just sent me to the chiropractor because my baby's breech. Oh, no, don't let that be you. Get to a chiropractor and do once a week minimum adjustments throughout your pregnancy. All right, that's my tangent. All right, but really, now we are really starting to prepare for the unknown and to prepare for these forks in the road. We don't know how labor is going to start. We don't know what it's going to look like. And then every single birth is different. Every single pregnancy is different. Every single postpartum healing timeline is different. So you're not putting requests out there in the universe, or you're not checking boxes to get the thing you want. You're literally preparing your soul and your physical body to embark on this transition, this unknown transition. And the two greatest words I can share with you for this are surrender and adaptability. You got to let go and give it up to God. Have faith and trust in your body. And then you and your partner and your birth team have to be able to adapt. And this is why it's so important to pick people and the healthcare provider that you know and trust, and you build a relationship with them along this pregnancy journey. Now, as far as training, this looks a lot like strictly strength stuff. A lot of presses, a lot of squats, a lot of lunges, a lot of hip hinges. Now we're probably on the bike or doing carries, walking, sled drags. We're squatting at least twice a week for range of motion. Loads, there's no loads really over 50% of our maxes if we know them. Like, this is a time to move to feel good in your body. All right. And yes, some pregnancies go to 42 weeks, and that is completely normal. All right. That is pregnancy. And one thing I will say is, if you're training, like doing the general strength and conditioning program with us, or you've taken our seminar and done the thing and you're programming for yourself, or you're training at your gym, wherever you are, if a movement like a lunge does not feel comfortable, that is your body telling you something. Think of movement during this pregnancy journey as a conversation with your body. Not a punishment, not a way to get in shape, more like a conversation with your body. And yes, by default, you are going to get in better shape and your fitness is going to improve overall because you have an extra load as well and your physiology is adapting. But think of movement as a conversation with your body. So if anything comes up, don't ignore it and forget that movement for the rest of pregnancy. Unpack that. See why it feels funky. Okay? Cool. All right. So then birth happens. And this is another thing. If you've been to any of our seminars or done our education, you know that there's a number of different outcomes. And we've done our best to kind of categorize them in 6 different, I think, outcomes. But even these 6 different outcomes can be hybrids of each other. An unmedicated vaginal birth at home is probably the quickest, most efficient way to birth and recover. There's no interference of medications or side effects. And then but we don't know, there could be tearing, there could be hemorrhaging, any of that, and that's going to affect the healing timeline. When you start to throw things in the mix, whether it be herbs or, down the Western medicine side, when you start to throw things like induction or epidural or Pitocin, these things are going to have a significant effect on the recovery timeline, and it's going to look different for everybody. And I just need you to be aware of that, because we give you a timeline here, but it might, bleed a little bit into the next phase, or, look a little bit different for you as compared to your sister or your best friend or whatever. Cesarean birth is a major abdominal surgery. And this requires significant healing. And, in general, our country does a crappy job of healing and postpartum recovery. But we hope to make it a little bit more straightforward, a little bit more doable, manageable, tangible, so that you have an idea here. So let's talk about this. On the top of this line, these are kind of what we call each phase. And then on the bottom are the BirthFit programs that correspond to these phases. So the first 2 weeks after birth are so important for bonding and co-regulation. I cannot tell you how important it is for baby to be born and to be placed skin to skin on top of mom as the very first thing. Weighing the baby, examining the baby, all of that can wait. These first 2 hours are golden, and I cannot stress that enough. Coming home, the first 2 weeks need to be in the bed, not at the gym, not doing any fitness, not walking, not doing anything. But the priority is lying in, bonding with baby and partner. You're syncing up as a new family. Your immediate family just gained a new member, gained a new roommate, and you're getting each other's vibes. Like, I don't know a better word for it, but you're literally syncing up with each other. So important. As 2 weeks pass and you go into the next 2 weeks, so the first 30 days, we recommend lying in for 30 days. So some midwives will say 2 weeks in the bed, 2 weeks around the bed. Whatever's easier for you to remember, but there is no training. I don't care who you are. And we've worked with some of the greatest athletes of our time, and they take a line in period. You can take a line in period. I cannot stress how important a 30-day line in period is for your overall health and recovery and your health later on in life. I'll stop, but it is so important. All right. As we transition, co-regulation becomes recovery. And this may look like, if you have not started this before, this may look like broths, this may look like slow cooked meats, this may look like vaginal steams, this may look like belly massage, body massage, any of those things. And we have a number of resources and referrals if you want them in your life to make them happen. Don't hesitate to get the Econatal postpartum box that is on our website. Be sure to listen to, we have a number of BirthFit podcasts related to the postpartum period, especially these first 30 days. All right. So we've got 2 weeks, we've got 4 weeks. If you want, you can even do the BirthFit line-in program, which is free. It's super simple, but it's like a 5 to 10 minute video a day, just giving you something to check in with, whether it be your posture, your breath, or a gentle stretch. But it's some people really like it because they're very task-oriented people that like that. And then we get to about 4 to 5 weeks postpartum. This is the earliest that we will say that somebody can start the BirthFit Basics postpartum program. The BirthFit Basics postpartum program is 30 sessions. So you can do it for 30 days, or you can do it every other day and stretch it out for 60 days. It is all body weight movement, specifically focusing on the BirthFit Basics movements and poses. BirthFit Basics are 15 poses and movements that we view as, base level human movement. Like, every human should be able to do these. And this is the foundation from which core, pelvic floor, human movement, power, everything develops. And this is the first thing that everyone postpartum should be doing. So if you stretch it out for 60 days, we recommend walking in between. So BirthFit Basics one day, walking the next day, BirthFit Basics, walking. Now, if you do the BirthFit Basics 30 days in a row, that will basically take you to the end of month 2. Then you would start the BirthFit postpartum training program, which is 3 months long, aka 12 weeks, and that will take you to 5 months postpartum. The BirthFit Basics postpartum training program is 3 training days a week, and you start to add in strength work. You start to add in lifts like a squat or a deadlift or a bench press or a strict press. You start to add in pose running drills or tempo work or single leg, single arm stuff. This is really important, so important before jumping back into your regularly scheduled training session. This is like we've laid the foundation. Now we're filling that gray area before you go back into your CrossFit class or your Orange Theory class or your soccer training or your volleyball training or your track training. Like, I'm not kidding you. Every professional athlete we work with goes through this same training timeline. It's what has worked and it will continue to work. Like, we've done this for a while now. We've done this with a number of humans. It works. Nobody needs to start at 2 weeks or 4 weeks at a CrossFit class. No, nobody needs to start running at 6 weeks. Nobody needs to start sprinting at 6 weeks. You've got to lay the foundation. So let's say you stretch the BirthFit Basics postpartum program out to 60 days. That will take you to 3 months postpartum. And then you'll start the BirthFit postpartum training program, and that will take you to 6 months postpartum. Like, you're just 1 month after the like really structured timeline, and that's just as beautiful. We also have a return to running program that's available, and we recommend doing this after you have completed the BirthFit Basics postpartum program. You can do the return to running program alongside the postpartum training program. We do not recommend, nor advise, nor support running or CrossFit or sport specific or Orange Theory or any of the, even just sitting on a Peloton or a bike, because you've got to lay the foundation. We don't recommend any of that before 3 months postpartum. You've got to lay a foundation. All right, y'all can tell I'm getting heated. I've just seen too much hot mess out there. All right, so once we've completed the BirthFit postpartum training program, this is when you can enter the B community. And this is our ongoing general strength and conditioning programming. And this is something new and special and available in 2021. And I'm really excited for y'all to continue with that. Our B community, strength and conditioning, is sustainable, efficient movement for women for all seasons and cycles of life. And I could not be like, I'm so stoked to be able to offer y'all this, because as you know, we bring the feminine energy into strength and conditioning. So that's where you would go after you complete your postpartum training with us. So I'm going to just put X out of here. Feel free to screenshot this, find it on our Instagram. But that is an overview of our timeline. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email us, info@birthfit.com. We are always here to support you, eager to support you. And reminder, if you are in our Train Heroic training programs, which all of our training programs are on Train Heroic now, we have a once a month support session. So don't forget, write it down, look out for the email. We are here to support you, and we absolutely love what we do. And I'm surrounded by experts, healers, coaches, doctors, and we're here to take care of you. So thank you for trusting in BirthFit, and thank you for being a part of the BirthFit movement.